Welcome back to another history video on video games. So far, I covered Nickelodeon kart racers and Mario Kart, even the Need for Speed series. However, there's one racing title that nobody has never heard of, or practically veterans of this racing title actually heard of. And what I'm talking about is MotorStorm. To break this down and to write this down, the MotorStorm is a series of an arcade racer. It features off-road racing with various types of vehicles and emphasizes high-octane action and explosive visuals over realism. They are known for chaotic destruction, licensed soundtracks, and stunning scenery, making them a favorite among arcade racing enthusiasts. For many, this is an arcade racer that is developed by a studio that everybody actually heard of for today, Evolution Studios, later known as Codemasters Evo and Codemasters Cheshire. They were under Sony when back in the day, actually. To avoid confusion, I'm referring to the series who made MotorStorm as Codemasters Cheshire. While they were under the Sony umbrella, they were responsible for creating various games, such as WRC. Shortly thereafter, they started making the MotorStorm series up until 2012. And in 2014, Evolution Studios were the masterminds of Drive Club. That's another game. However, that game was really mixed. Despite the team actually did a great job. However, it really wasn't the case, as critics really said it true at best. Even Games Radar. So let's dive on in and see what MotorStorm is all about. To avoid confusion on the number of first, second, and third and fourth installments are going to be on MotorStorm, I'm going to refer to the MotorStorm series by their numbers. And MotorStorm 1, 2006, MotorStorm 2, Pacific Rift, MotorStorm 3, Apocalypse, and MotorStorm 4, RC. Let's start the MotorStorm. Now, releasing in 2006, it's developed by Evolution Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The gameplay is heavily focused on off-road racing at a fictional festival. It was announced at the E3 2005 and was released in Japan on December 14th, 2006, and worldwide in March 2007. The game received a positive reception and sold well and led to a sequel as part of the MotorStorm series. You get to choose various types of vehicles, which in reality this is actually a multi-vehicular game where you are allowed to use more than one vehicle in a game. Just like the Grand Theft Auto series and the Mario Kart series. You get to choose from bikes, ATVs, buggies, rally cars, racing trucks, mud pluggers, and big rigs. Each vehicle has its own strengths and weaknesses. For example, dirt bikes are capable of accelerating very fast and are able to maneuver through tight spaces, but they can easily be damaged and only reach average top speeds. On the other hand, big rigs have great durability, medium speed, but poor acceleration and handling. Similar to how heavyweights in the Mario Kart series have the overall top speed, trashy acceleration and handling, and trashy braking. And yeah, I can see what the resemblance I can see where the resemblance is all about. Each race requires the player to choose a particular vehicle type and often race against many other vehicles. Every track has many different ways of getting through it, each catering to a specific class of vehicles, thereby making the race feel more balanced. The events in the game occur in real time, such as the mud effects, tire marks, and crashes. For example, if a car loses a wheel, it will remain where it lands for the duration of the race. Each track is filled with various jumps, bumps, cliffs, ledges, mud pits, parts from cars, and obstacles. Races are generally 3-lap events with 2 to 15 racers. There are only 9 playable tracks in the game, with a further 4 which were available to purchase as downloadable content via the PlayStation Store. In addition, there is an online play. Catch-up mode can be enabled. This means the leader of the race has less boost than everyone else, allowing players further back in the field to catch up. If the leader changes, so does the racer with less boost. This makes using boost for the leader a technical task. The nitrous boost plays a large part in MotorStorm and is used to either catch up to opponents or pull away from them. Players must keep an eye on their boost meter, which shows how hot the car's engine is. The longer the boost is held, the hotter the engine becomes. If the boost is held when the engine reaches its critical temperature, then it'll explode. Since explosions resulting from the boost typically rocketing the player's vehicle forward, they can be it can be used for edging out other racers across the finish line. This can be useful when behind, although this does not work all the time if the AI gains the upper hand. 2 demo versions of the game have been made available to the public. The first was available on the PlayStation 3 retail kiosk. As been mentioned before, the game offers several add-ons and DLCs. Despite the multiplayer servers being closed in 2012, it is still possible to download the game's updates, as they were required for DLC compatibility. There is a workaround for both multiplayer and game updates download, which was found in November of 2021. After the recent update was version 3.1 is no longer available for downloadable, despite the DLC being available for purchase on the PlayStation Store. I actually bought MotorStorm 1 for the PlayStation 3, and I was very impressed. However, on the downside, even though the first MotorStorm series is supposed to be an arcade racer, the handling model really isn't the best, as it really isn't very arcadey than what to expect. However, when I looked up what MotorStorm 2006 is supposed to be, it is supposed to be an arcade racer, but sadly, it was more of a simcade game because of the handling. Probably explains why. Despite all this, at least I tried a brand new game, and it's very damn fun. And also, crashing into other opponents and smashing into them is quite enjoyable. However, this concept had been taken from MotorStorm into Hot Wheels Unleashed. So for people who are playing Hot Wheels Unleashed today, you might be able to quickly identify how the physics works on that game. Besides Hot Wheels Unleashed, at least I tried MotorStorm, and I believe it might be my best arcade racer yet, next to other arcade racing titles that I sampled and played. With the success of of MotorStorm, the sequel was released. Following the acquisition of Sony acquiring Evolution Studios, MotorStorm Pacific Rift was released on October 28th, 2008, 2 days before Halloween 2008. The game was released in North America. The game had sold over 1 million units as of the 9th of December 2008. However, on October 1st, 2012, the very same day as when Nick Mom premiered on the Nick Jr. channel, and it was Cartoon Network's 20th birthday at the time, the online servers unfortunately have permanently been shut down. MotorStorm 3D Rift is a 3D mini release of Pacific Rift containing 10 tracks, as well as a selection of off-road vehicles from Pacific Rift, which is an only single-player mode game and has no trophies, which was released on the PlayStation Network on the 24th of August, 2010. The game moves away from the desert environments of the original title and relocates itself in a lush island environment full of interactive vegetation. I'm sorry if I pronounced that word wrong. And also includes monster trucks and 4-player split-screen capability. Monster trucks are able to ride over cars, except for big rigs, break most vegetation, and destroy structures. Bikes also have new capabilities, so they can do a bunny hop and the driver can duck. Custom music was also added, using a player's own music stored in their PlayStation 3's hard drive, which are available. As are trophies to unlock more drivers and vehicles, and camera angles are improved for crashes. Vehicle damage was also improved with good-looking deformation. And users can select drivers from the garage menu, thus not having to rely on picking the vehicles. Depending on the driver's gender, speed events are firstly introduced in the game, which consists of numerous checkpoints in each tracks that users must pass through to achieve extra times before the timer runs out. Any class that isn't the ATV or bikes can ram their vehicle left or right, which is basically your sideswipe, or for Hot Wheels Unleashed 2's case, lateral dashing. For the drivers who are racing on ATVs and bikes, will have the ability to knock down their opponents off their bike or ATV. Similar to the SSX series, where snowboarders had to knock down other snowboarders to fill up their boost or not. The ATV and bike ram and by their driver throwing punches at the other drivers. There are only 16 original tracks that are set around volcano mountainslides, beaches, jungles, caves, and a rundown sugar factory. Another feature in MotorStorm Pacific Rift is the presence of water in the form of rivers, pools, and waterfalls. Water will also cool down car engines, which is a good thing as engines will run too hot, and it needs some water to cool it down. In 2009, 2 expansion packs were released and add a total of 6 new tracks. The Speed expansion allows 3 tracks, and it also adds 3 new track variants and new paint jobs. The Adrenaline pack also adds 3 new tracks but 5 new track variants, 4 new vehicles, and 6 new characters. With it are 5 track variants, which consists of red partially blunt card under the name Volcano, Variations of the game and of the same tracks are turned into a post-apocalyptic volcano activity, such as lava bombs are present throughout the race, and drive through it will instantly wreck any vehicle that comes through it, and more. Also very dangerously, if the vehicle's boost temperature becomes very hot and the player drives through a small lava bomb, the vehicle could explode. Much of the same vehicle classes from the original game makes a reappearance, with monster trucks being added. 50 of the 51 vehicles are featured in the original MotorStorm series appear in the new game. However, the Patrol 85 rally car was left out for some odd reason, as well as a whole new array of vehicles. This includes vehicles downloaded as part of the game packs, such as Revenge Weekend and Devil's Weekend. A demo version of the game was made available in Europe and North America in 2008. There are also 46 licensed music tracks, 9 of which are exclusive to the game. The game received favorable reviews with a positive reception, scoring an 82 out of 100 on Metacritic. And then, just a few years later, another sequel happened. Just 3 years later. 2011, the year MotorStorm Apocalypse came to the picture. The planned UK release date of MotorStorm Apocalypse was on the 16th of March 2011, but unfortunately it was been delayed by SCE UK following the 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Tokyo in Japan. The Australian launch went ahead as planned on March 17th, but Sony announced further shipments of the game to that country were halted in the wake of the disaster. The North American planned release date on the 12th of April was delayed again by Sony, who later confirmed new releases dates of the 31st of March in the United Kingdom and on the 3rd of May in North America. As from August 27th, 2018, its multiplayer servers were closed. MotorStorm Apocalypse is a more story-driven than previous installments. The events of Apocalypse's MotorStorm Festival are told from the perspective of 3 participants by Evolution Studios, with each participant also representing a difficulty level of gameplay. These 3 participants will each see different parts of the catastrophe unfold over the course of the 3-day festival. In the game, racers participate in a 3-day festival in a decaying city known as The City, which is the aftermath of a natural disaster. The game is the first in the series to feature an urban setting as opposed to natural environments. The game has a single-player mode with 40 tracks across 3 difficulty levels. Each difficulty level features on a different racer story. The game also has a multiplayer mode with up to 4 players, support locally, and up to 2-player split screen online. Other online features included 16-player racing, vehicle customization, performance perks, and wagering. The game also features new vehicles in the game, which include supercars, superbikes, hot hatches, muscle cars, and choppers. Apocalypse is the first game in the MotorStorm series to focus on an urban setting as opposed to natural environments. And again, with new classes being added, this is actually a biggest good multi-vehicular game ever. I actually played MotorStorm Apocalypse via the PlayStation Plus, which I recommend to check it out if you have a subscription. What DLC wise, 3 DLC packs included new vehicles. The Revelations pack, containing 4 vehicles that could be bought entirely or individually. The second is the Remix pack, containing 3 vehicles from the original MotorStorm game. And the third one, the Prestige pack, consisting of a rally car and 2 supercars that could be bought entirely or individually. The development really was pretty crazy. With after watching this title sequence for Smoking Aces, Alan McDermott from Evolution approached Voodoo Dog to explore developing in a Hollywood blockbuster title sequence for the game. This was the first time Voodoo Dog had worked on a game title sequence. The reception for the game still received generally favorable reviews. However, it was very criticized for the underwhelming graphics, and the game being similar to the game Split Second. Giving it 3 stars out of 5 on GamePro. GameSpot praised for its variety of multiplayer options, well-designed tracks, and destructible environments and such. However, it really could have been better. MotorStorm Apocalypse marked the first MotorStorm game to include, that's right, vehicular combat. Well, physical vehicular combat, actually. Okay, now I know. Okay, now we know where this is going. No. I looked up vehicular combat on the Wikipedia page, and I was practically surprised that MotorStorm Apocalypse has been marked a vehicular combat game. And bet we should have seen that one coming. Actually, very, very good. The online multiplayer servers for the game were permanently shut down in January 2012. It's sad. Seriously, maybe they could have kept the online servers up instead of shutting them down. They're very unnecessary. And again, that was MotorStorm number 1. That's MotorStorm 1 I'm talking about. For people who got MotorStorm and want to play online. However you can't, as it's already been shut down. So what's next? The 4th installment. The last game in the series was MotorStorm RC. Wait, stop. Wait. We actually missed something. We actually missed a MotorStorm game. There was actually a actual third installment, which is in the Arctic. Oh my goodness. Why did I even bother? The next game in the series that I did not know about, and what I've forgotten about, is MotorStorm Arctic Edge, or MotorStorm 3 Arctic Edge. Oh boy. So MotorStorm Apocalypse is the 4th installment, and MotorStorm RC is the 5th installment. Seriously, I really should have seen that one coming. So MotorStorm Arctic Edge, the game once again moves away from the desert environments of the original title and the lush island environment of the sequel, and relocates itself into the harsh Arctic climate of Alaska on the edge of the Arctic Circle. Vehicle-wise, it features 24 vehicles from 8 classes, which includes a bike, ATV, snow machine, buggy, rally car, snow plugger, snowcat, and a big rig. Each vehicle is fully customizable with a vast number of cosmetic modifications such as liveries, spoilers, exhaust, and sponsor stickers. While while MotorStorm Arctic Edge is the third installment in the MotorStorm series, it was not developed by Evolution Studios. Developed by Big Studios, a British company who were responsible for Pursuit Force and Little Deviants, and for the PlayStation Portable and the PlayStation Vita. MotorStorm Arctic Edge was released only on the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation Portable. To accommodate the hardware limitations of the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation Portable, it would be developed separately by Big Studio Productions. What happened to Big Studios? Well, it went defunct in 2012, and its successor, Evolution Studios, took their place. As it was confirmed by Sony that it would close Big Studios on January 10th, 2012. With its last game, Little Deviants being the last game produced by them. Big Studios was founded in 2001 by a core team of the four former employees who worked at Codemasters. The company was set up with the help of the parent company Evolution Studios. Since Arctic Edge is set in the Arctic of Alaska, it was confirmed by Sony that it would not be developed by Evolution, who had previously worked on the past two titles. Big Studios would be taking care of it. Prior to the rumor of the PlayStation Portable Edition of the previous PlayStation 3, MotorStorm had been swirling due to a tip by a staff member of Sony Computer Entertainment Europe in November of 2008. The PlayStation Portable version received generally favorable reviews. PS2 version, above average. People expected that the PSP version is better than the PlayStation 2 version. But honestly, I think both versions are better. And are the best. The last game in the MotorStorm series is MotorStorm RC. The game features 8 styles of vehicles, 4 returning areas from the previous MotorStorm games, and has 16 tracks built out of them. The Pro AM expansion and the Carnival expansion DLC were released in 2012, adding in new tracks and vehicles to the game. The game features split-screen multiplayer, cross-saving, and single purchases for both versions of the game, as it was released only on the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3. There isn't much to say about it, as much of the critics said that they were praised for the use of the instantaneous restarts, minimal loading times, fast pacing, and a dubstep soundtrack in order to create an engaging gameplay loop. Well, honestly, there isn't much to say about MotorStorm RC, as this is MotorStorm but with remote controlled vehicles. I sampled and played it myself, and to my surprise, this is basically like a Micro Machine version or Hot Wheels styled game, but with remote controlled vehicles. Evolution Studios on March 23rd, 2015, much of the employees have been laid off. 55 staff members were cut from Evolution Studios, which sources say is approximately half the studio. The dependencies have been described by Sony as a way to focus the studio on developing Drive Club as a service. Yes. The developers' last game was Drive Club. It was scheduled to be a PlayStation 4 launch title. However, it was ultimately been delayed. They were waiting for the technology to create their vision of the game, only to have the game to have a middling to mixed or average reviews by critics. On March 22nd, 2016, Sony announced that Evolution Studios was closed. On April 11th, 2016, the development team joined Codemasters, and Evolution Studios, as we know it, was rebranded as Codemasters Evo. With Codemasters Evo on board, Codemasters Evo wanted to make a spiritual successor to MotorStorm, or something like that. And this resulted in Onrush. Released in 2018, developed by Codemasters Evo, and published by Deep Silver for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it is an arcade-style vehicular combat game. Released on June 5th, 2018, it carries on the same traditional MotorStorm spiritual successor and the experience that MotorStorm veterans actually remembered, but failed commercially, and it failed unsuccessfully. Not only it's not focusing on racing and only on team-based racing, according to Gamer Alex, but it doesn't feel like a spiritual successor to MotorStorm at all. Onrush tried to bring hero shooter and arcade racing fans in to see how they would like the game, but it completely undermined what Onrush was truly about. Onrush was a poor attempt to try and revive the MotorStorm series and made it into a team-based game without actual racing, and the online servers were already shut down and the game was been delisted from digital storefronts. According to Gamer Alex, the development team didn't learn from their previous mistakes, as MotorStorm Apocalypse had similar issues, as he listed in his Onrush video. Around 2018 or 19, Milestone somehow brought us what was supposed to be the closest thing to MotorStorm, and that game is called Gravel. This is Milestone's first arcade-style racing game in a long time since Screamer. Everybody preferred that Gravel is a spiritual successor to MotorStorm, but it was missing some things. They were missing bikes, they were missing ATVs, and that's it. They also don't have big rigs either. So that's a bum. So what happened to Codemasters Evo today? Well, in the wake of Onrush's failure, according to Gamer Alex, Codemasters Evo lost a lot of their employees due to layoffs and ended up getting their asses rebranded from Codemasters Evo to Codemasters Cheshire. The studio were tasked on making Dirt 5, which was completely lobotomized, as Codemasters pretty much lobotomized Cheshire after Onrush's failure. And on top of this, Codemasters Cheshire, formerly known as Evolution Studios, was a studio that was more designed around making arcade racers. So that was a huge blunder from Codemasters. And again, that was Dirt 5. Dirt 5 was one of the more frustrating blunders out of Codemasters. While I liked the game alongside with some fans and critics, the general reception from players was really mixed. Due to key aspects on Dirt 5's issues with having no actual rally mode, very floaty and wonky physics, and Cheshire made the game very arcadey. If I gotta be honest, is Dirt 5's physics look like I'm driving a toy car. If I have to drive a toy car, I would play Hot Wheels Unleashed. With Codemasters Cheshire being merged into Criterion Games, this really raises questions if MotorStorm will come back or not. Well, it won't. Want to know why? Electronic Arts. EA, who owns Play First, Maxis, Codemasters themselves, even Criterion. Yes. Codemasters Cheshire is now under EA, while it is now merged with Criterion Games. Out of all games that was trying to take inspiration from MotorStorm, the only game that kind of closely resembles MotorStorm now actually is Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged. Dragon Shark even said that the game does look like MotorStorm, but not by much. True, the trucks and vans alongside with the cars and such, and the bikes and the ATVs, yeah, that's one thing. But when I look, that's one thing. But MotorStorm would not have creative track design, actually, honestly, with the orange track pieces. So honestly, that sadly won't count. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching, and until next time, stay tuned for new upcoming videos in the future.